Yo, guess what? Guess what's happening? I just got back from the FPV park, and I'm happy to announce everything is working out super well. If you didn't see my last update video, I tried to go work on the park last month when it had been raining for a week, so my van got stuck in the mud in the entrance. My microphone broke, there's a bunch of bullshit, and I just got like super pooey about it. But this time the van made it back onto the property just fine. In fact, I went in and out several times this weekend. And I decided not to vlog this trip, but instead just film a bunch of B-roll and then do this voiceover. So that way I could just focus on working on the park and not also stressing about like trying to make a good video or something. You know, you can always record B-roll and then fix it in editing. But dog, we got so much work done. I am so stoked on the progress that we made. You know, instead of just talking about it, let me go ahead and show you the land, what we did, and what the game plan is. So this is the park, right? Here's our borders and everything. Here's the entrance way. This is where my van got stuck last time because it was raining and muddy. This right here is the creek that runs pretty much the full length of the property. And this right here is the road that actually runs the entire 10 acres of the property. Right here is the first area that we cleared out. This will be a small parking area, then next to it a campsite or kitchen or something down the line. But for now, it's where we set up our tables and our tools to work. It's also the area where I set up my bucket shitter that works surprisingly well. I got biodegradable camp bags, so you just shit in the bag and you bury the whole thing. Eventually, I do want to set up like a nice big outhouse with a composting toilet and everything so you can shit in peace. But in the meantime, you can use the shit bucket. Or you can just drive to town that's 3 miles away and shit somewhere down there, or drive to Sheets, which is right down the road. Oh, what? I didn't record any of that? We spent the next few hours clearing out all the dead trees, cutting them up, and using the logs to line the paths that we're going to be making, so each area will sort of lead to each other through the paths. Next to this is the main bonfire, also the cooking fire for now. And there's room up on the hill for 2 more campsites. This was the main area we focused on this weekend, just cutting trees, clearing debris, and making the trails. Cutting trees, pulling logs, making trails. The backside of this section leads to the freestyle area, and then if you veer off to the right, that's going to be the crawler course and the creek. And I think next trip, the freestyle section, we did clear a lot of the trees down, but there's still, you know, crap all over the ground. So I think that's going to be the focus of the next trip, is getting the first freestyle section cleared up on the ground. And I think once we get it cleared out, then we're going to put in like a big dive tower or something like that, like a main obstacle we can build. And then whatever gaps and other things hanging off the trees, we're going to leave up, you know, a lot of the old healthy trees. We're only cutting down the dead ones and the new skinny ones that are kind of in the way. We do want to leave a lot of nature here, plus, you know, we gotta have stuff to trippy spin. I will say honestly, the last few trips I made out here, I was pretty overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of work that we had to do, because it was just 10 acres of raw land. But now that we've made the plan to do it section by section, things are getting defined, the project is 1,000 times more manageable and enjoyable. I went from stressing and freaking out to absolute joy and anticipation for all the amazing stuff that we're gonna do with this land. But after hours of cutting and dragging trees, me, Maddie Blunts, and Chubby decided we were ready to do something else. So we decided to walk the property for real. The past few times I've been out here, I've kind of just hung out in this front area. Like I definitely walked it and checked out everything, but I wasn't looking for border markers. I wasn't sure exactly where our property ended and the neighbors began. So we decided, let's walk the property for real this time, look for some kind of surveyor marks, for any kind of property boundaries or anything like that. We wanted to see just how much land that we had to work with. The entrance sits at the southern border, so that's pretty easy. We know exactly where our southern border is. The western side of the property was also pretty easy to figure out. This road runs the length of the property, and it actually used to be the old state road. This is basically the highway back in the day, but now it's our own private road. Which is sick, because one of my main concerns when finding property was the homies that had mobility issues, but with this road, you can get across the entire park no problem, just driving down it. Also, whoever owns the adjoining property on the western side was nice enough to put all these purple no hunting boundary marks on all the trees, so easy enough, that's the western border. They basically butt up against the road the entire way. The northern border is actually pretty hard to figure out. No, I'm just kidding, it was the same thing. It was also super easy. It had the same purple marks, but it also had these intimidating no trespassing signs. The eastern side was the only one that gave us problems. We walked and walked looking for any sort of border markings, but we couldn't find anything. After walking for a while, we found somebody's turkey blind, so I was like, oh shit, we're on somebody else's land. I panicked and ran away. Later that night, we'll come to find out that the person that does own that land is super cool and wouldn't mind that we accidentally, you know, walked a little bit on his land trying to find our borders. We spent some more time looking for paint or ribbons or pipes or anything that would mark the eastern border, but after looking at the overhead map and reading my deed 30 more times, we finally realized the eastern border is actually the creek. Well, half of it. The way that the deed is worded, there's a pin in the middle of the creek, and then you follow its contours and distances or whatever all the way down to the southern side of the border. That would explain why the property map looks like this and has all these weird little cutouts. What really solidified it for me was this section right here here, this little kind of cutout part, like the creek looks exactly like that. There's this clear line where there's a power pole or a phone line or some shit. And that little cutout right there is actually the perfect place for a crawler course. Let me show you. Check this out. I'm just gonna use the onboard mic for this because I don't want to forget. Now this little creek crossing is really fucking cool. It's really pretty and shady under here. It's really nice. So I think what we're gonna do is I think right over here, this is where we're gonna make the crawler course. Dragon Ears, FPV Vegan, I wanna need y'all's help for this. I think this whole area underneath here, because the creek's right there, we can make some bridges and creek crossings or whatever. I think this whole, starting here, this whole area right here, this is gonna be the crawler track. So we'll take down some of these dead trees, we'll get all this brush out of the way, but yeah, look how perfect this is. The canopies with all the dead leaves keep the grass down. So this whole freaking giant area, this is gonna be the crawler course. Then across the way, that's the camp and everything. If you're confused on direction, there's the carport dive gap. You can see the smoke over there, right? There's a campfire and everything. You come across the little field, and then over here, this is gonna be the entirety of the first crawler course. We can make as many as you want, bro. After finding our proper borders, we spent the rest of the day clearing brush, sticks, trees. I made some instant mash and ramen like I'm in jail. We saw a black shiny lizard that was pretty freaking cool. And we ran a pretty nice fire getting rid of some of the old dead trees that we're not gonna reuse for lumber. But just as we're about to go to bed, this 4x4 thing came coming down our road with bright ass headlights, and a dude jumps out and I'm like, hey, hello, who are you? And he's like, hey bro, I'm your neighbor. It turns out it was the guy that owns 100 acres that is on our northern border, and he was cool as shit, man. The guy was a trip. He just came back there like super friendly and, you know, pretty loud. And I'm over here worried about being loud at night because of the neighbors and everything. He is the neighbor, and he comes back there in his 4x4 just yelling like, hey bro, what's up? You wanna hang out? And that dude was super cool. So far I've met the majority of the neighbors, and they're all really nice. I'll say any hesitation I had about the neighbors not liking me or not wanting me there was immediately squashed after I met him. He gave me the rundown of the property, of like the surrounding area and everything, and everybody's just cool. Everybody just has, you know, a bunch of property. They like to hunt on it. They like to hang out. They just want to live their lives. Same here, right? We got a little bit of property, just want to hang out and have a good time on it. That's like the general vibe, I think, for the area. Is like, it's not like, oh, what the heck are you doing in my area? It's like, oh, right on. I'm not really from here either, but check out this property I got. I like hanging out on it. After he gave me the rundown and told me that he hunts, I told him, like I told the other couple neighbors, hey, you know, in the winter when we're not using this at all, if you want to hunt on the land, go do it. I don't give a shit at all, you know, right? Somebody might as well at least use it. I mean, they both own 100+ acres that border ours, so chances are they won't be hunting on the land, but I thought it was a nice neighborly gesture to let them know, like, hey, we're cool, bro. After the neighbor left, I crawled in my van, I smoked a joint, and I slept like a baby that's been carrying logs around all day. The next morning, we woke up to take shits at the Sheets. And I wanted a grilled cheese first thing in the morning for some reason. The nearest town is actually only 3 miles away, and they have hardware stores and little pizza shops and things like that. But there's a larger town about 15 miles away. There's a Sheets, you got your Walmarts or Home Depots and things like that. So it's rural, but it's not too far from civilization. The property is actually in a really cool area. It's really pretty. There's rivers and stuff. There's a pump track that I saw on the way out there. There's skate parks and stuff. Like, I'm excited to get out and explore it and check out the general area. Around lunchtime, my FPV addiction got the best of me, and I wanted to fly my Cinewoop around to get some real pretty cinematic shots of the property, as well as like some updates. But when I tried to take off, there's a stick in my propeller, I guess, and I armed and it broke it. So I got kind of pissed. Here's some DVR footage from my Whoop.
Everybody in the gang, we got that. Man, everybody in the team, we rock that. Man, everybody all around our waga. Man, bitch, I'm sleeping. Moving on these motherfuckers. Moving on the motherfuckers. Run up with a 2-2 when I'm shooting motherfuckers. Shoot motherfuckers, look. I'ma fucking shoot them motherfuckers, look.
After this, Drone Rob showed up to help, and he absolutely crushed it with moving these logs around and lining the trails. We're using some of the smaller sticks to kind of just like rough sketch where the trails are gonna go and everything. Then once we're sure where we want that path to lead, then we're rolling the big ass logs on it. We burned probably 6 or 7 full trees this weekend, like old dead ones that we didn't want to reuse lumber for or anything, that we just needed to get rid of. I thought we were gonna have enough firewood for like months, but this shit was gone in a day. It was a huge pile. There's a pile left from last time, and all the wood from this time just gone. We started running out of room for 4 people and all of our shit, so me and Maddie whipped up the second table with some 70% off coal lumber I found on the ride out. we definitely need to build or ground score a lot more stuff for the park. I've been keeping my eye out for trash in Philly. Unfortunately, when landlords evict people, they just throw all their shit out on the curb or they dump it behind an alley or something. But fortunately for us, I have a van that can hold a lot of stuff and I like digging through the trash. So with the second day almost over, I took my camera and I walked the property to kind of look at the progress that we made. Now I can't express just how much making these little paths to define the areas boosted my positivity about this project. Like I said, the past few trips, it was just raw land with a field of ivy and tree saplings that we were tripping over and stuff. But after only a day and a half worth of work, this is what the park looks like. Clearly defined sections, paths leading to the first of the areas, and just room to move around and work without tripping over anything. And this is how we're gonna do it. Just one section at a time, slow and steady. So far, I'm able to go out there about once a month. Now I would love to do, twice a month or go out there for like 3 or 4 days at a time and work, but that's just not possible for me right now. Number one, I don't have anybody that can watch my house for me that long. I have 6 animals that need attention, and I make weekly videos, so I need to be at my house with my computer to be able to film and edit all of these videos. So it is what it is. We're just gonna keep chugging along, section by section. Any chance we get to work on it, we're gonna work on it, and one day, it'll be awesome. And I'll have to say, I was fighting myself this whole weekend to not build the crawler course or put up any FPV obstacles like this. These next few trips are just focused on clearing the land and defining the sections. But before we left, I took my axial bomber down to the creek and did a little crawling. This is a huge project, but I'm really proud of the work that we got done in just a day and a half. All we really needed was some direction and a game plan. And the crazy part is, this is just the first acre. We have 9 more acres that we can build into whatever we want. Speaking of that, I definitely want folks to come out and make this park their own. But we can't have a free-for-all of people just coming out, building things, tearing things down, and changing things around. Since we have a plan of what we're trying to get accomplished, and we have the first few acres mapped out. So to avoid any misunderstandings, I'm gonna create like a board, right? There's gonna be me, Maddie Blunts, and Chubby FPV. Nothing gets moved, changed, built, taken down, or otherwise touched unless one of us 3 gives the okay. I think this way there will be some direction and continuity without being a typical hierarchy. Like if we don't know what to do with an acre or there's an obstacle that somebody wants to build, you can just propose it and then we all vote on it. I also originally wanted to have these big work parties where we can have 10 people at a time come down, and all help do stuff on the property. But I think the smart move is to get the bulk of these first 2 acres done, get the parking area put in, and get the road installed. Then it'll just be 1,000 times easier for people to actually access the park while construction is going on. As it is now, we all park on that one road that goes through it, and there's no room to go around, so all the cars are in a line. If the first person in the park wants to get out, everybody behind that car has to move, which you can imagine once you have 3 or more cars, it's kind of a shit show. The little parking area that we're working on the front will solve all of this, but for now, I think we're gonna keep the work crews kind of small. And like I said at the beginning of this video, my outlook on the project has gone from, oh shit, what the hell am I doing? To, oh shit, I cannot wait for everybody to see this. We just needed nature to cooperate for a little bit. Speaking of cooperating, a lot of you have asked me if you could donate to the park project. The problem with this right now is that gets mixed in with my personal finances. I have to pay taxes on it, and it gets kind of messy. So what I want to do is start a nonprofit, and then anybody that wants to donate financially to that, if you want to donate equipment or anything, just hit me up. I can give you an address. But anybody that wants to donate financially, I'll start a nonprofit. That way you can just donate to that, and then it doesn't screw me over. The next work trip will be in July, hopefully sooner rather than later July. But I think things are going to go a lot faster now that we know what we need to do, now that we know we're just doing it section by section and what those sections are going to be. This next trip, we're going to get the first freestyle section cleared out, start building some infrastructure on that. We're going to get some gravel laid. We're going to get the parking area ready, and then just start hauling things in, making more paths, making more areas, hauling in benches, tables, all that good stuff, trash cans. I have a feeling once we get the first camp area and freestyle area together, it's all just going to, fall into place. Okay, now if you saw the last video, you'll know that we had some no talent ass clown claiming that I sold the FPV Park for a 93 Camry, a rumor which I personally started to clown on jabronis. Well, I wanted to see how far I could take it, so I started a rumor that I sold the park for a ham sandwich with lettuce and tomatoes, and all I gotta say, man, pinche cabron. Speaking of pinche, I am hungry as fuck, so if you would like to help me buy some enchiladas, I do have a Patreon right here you can check out. You get stickers, you get to watch all my videos first, you get a bunch of cool ass benefits. And if you didn't watch the last FPV Park update, you can watch it right here just by clicking on this little square. But more importantly, I promise next time will be better. Thank you very much everybody for watching today's video. Have a wonderful day. Bye.